Since Xiao Yan entered the Central Plains, he finally discovered the whereabouts of Little Fairy Doctor. Unexpectedly, she was besieged by the Ice River Valley, one of the 3 major valleys. Infuriated by this attack, Xiao Yan swore to annihilate the entire force. Continuing from the last chapter, Xiao Yan accepted the challenge posed by Elder Wu Chen to endure 10 rounds against him in order to obtain the complete version of the Skyfire 3 mysterious changes. Tang Zhen and Tang Huo Er were both stunned by this, knowing that Elder Wu Chen was a genuine 8-star Duzong, stronger even than FTI of the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion. Clearly, Xiao Yan was being too reckless. However, Xiao Yan believed that although Wu Chen was indeed formidable, his own strength had significantly increased since he had advanced to the Daozong level compared to when he was being hunted by Fen. Xiao Yan was now much stronger, so enduring 10 rounds against Wu Chen was not an impossible feat. Moreover, if he were truly provoked today, Kallian was determined to give the old man a tough lesson. At this moment, Wu Chen said to Xiao Yan, "In recognition of your help in refining the Flame Bodhi pill for our Valley Master, even if you fail the test, you will still be allowed to choose another non-top-tier technique or skill from Flame Burning Valley." Xiao Yan replied, "There's no need for that. Besides, save your words until after the test. If something unexpected happens, it might be hard to maintain your dignity." Wu Chen retorted, "Young people today are indeed arrogant. Very well, the old man, want to see how you will make me lose face today." Immediately, an overwhelming surge of fiery red Du Qi burst from Wu Chen's body. In the next instant, he flashed beside Xiao Yan, his fiery red fist striking heavily at Xiao Yan's chest. However, no blood was drawn. Wu Chen thought to himself, "An illusion. This must be the 3,000 thunder movement of the Wind Lightning Pavilion. Impressive indeed." Meanwhile, Xiao Yan's figure darted several dozen meters away. Seeing his slightly charred robe, a serious expression flashed in his eyes. From that earlier strike, Xiao Yan had already realized that although Wu Chen's speed wasn't as fast as Fen's, the strength of his attacks was significantly more powerful. Just one hit from Wu Chen could immediately render Xiao Yan incapable of fighting. Wu Chen said, "I've long wanted to experience the 3,000 thunder movement of the Wind Lightning Pavilion. I want to see whether it's my Flame Burning Valley's Heavenly Might Shatter Step that is stronger or the 3,000 thunder movement." With that, Wu Chen's flame-imbued right foot stomped the ground. The moment Wu Chen disappeared, Xiao Yan's hair stood on end. Instinctively, he pushed the 3,000 thunder movement to its limit, yet each of his afterimages was instantly shattered by Wu Chen's relentless attacks. Seeing the fiery figure closing in, Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly. Without holding back, he swung the 6-joint flowing ruler down with full force. As the ruler's shadow descended, Wu Chen's flame-imbued hands clapped heavily against the ruler, causing a crisp metallic clang to resonate through the air. Xiao Yan was then slammed into the hall's wall, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. Xiao Yan stood straight, a sight that made the observing disciples of Flame Burning Valley secretly marvel. None of them had expected that someone could endure such ferocious attacks from Wu Chen. In the ensuing rounds, Xiao Yan could only manage to flee desperately. The gap between an 8-star Duzong and a 1-star Duzong was vast. If it weren't for the effects of the 3,000 thunder movement, he would have been injured by Wu Chen long ago. Although he seemed somewhat ragged, he could still hold his ground for a bit. As Xiao Yan retreated, his eyes flickered rapidly. He thought to himself, "If this continues without using the angry Buddha Lotus flame, it will be hard to hold out." While this thought was in his mind, Wu Chen appeared in front of him. In a breath, his flame-imbued strike heavily on Xiao Yan's back. Xiao Yan fell to the ground, trying to get up and run, but Wu Chen moved swiftly, grabbing Xiao Yan by the neck and slowly lifting him. Wu Chen said, "Boy, admit defeat. If I wanted to kill you, you would already be dead." At this moment, a strange smile appeared on Xiao Yan's face. Xiao Yan said, "9 rounds." Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Wu Chen was momentarily stunned. Before he could react, Xiao Yan, who was being held by the neck, exploded and disappeared. This sudden turn of events left most of the spectators in a daze, including Wu Chen himself, who only recovered from the shock after a brief moment. "A soul clone," Wu Chen muttered. Seeing Wu Chen's grim expression, Xiao Yan couldn't help but smile. He had finally managed to trick the old man who had been so engrossed in eating up a soul clone. With a dark expression, Wu Chen slowly said to the smiling Xiao Yan, "I indeed underestimated you, but don't get too happy. There's still one round left, and this time, I won't hold back." With Fiery Palm, Tang Zhen, and the others, Zama Platform showed slight changes in their expressions. Upon seeing Wu Chen's formidable stance, everyone knew that he was now using his full strength to unleash such a powerful Dao skill on a junior. In this setting, it seemed quite excessive. Xiao Yan looked up at the enormous, fiery red palm, a cold smile forming on his face. As he raised his hand, a delicate three-colored fire lotus suddenly appeared before everyone's eyes. The moment the fire lotus appeared, everyone could clearly feel the energy in the area become violent, and the temperature rapidly increased. Even Tang's eyes revealed a hint of shock as the mysterious three-colored fire lotus seemed to harbor a destructive power that felt somewhat familiar to him. At this moment, Wu Chen finally showed a look of disbelief. He couldn't understand how Xiao Yan, merely a one-star Daozong, could wield such terrifying power that even he found astonishing. When the two energies collided, the world seemed to fall silent for a moment. Then, a massive energy storm swept across the entire arena, sending both Wu Chen and Xiao Yan flying hundreds of meters away. The ground outside the hall was almost entirely reduced to dust. Tang's face was exceptionally serious. He had expected that what was supposed to be a simple test would produce such a devastating outcome, as if it was meant to destroy the entire flame-burning valley. After waiting quietly for a while, Tang Jin let out a long sigh. If he didn't clean up this mess soon, flame-burning valley might be reduced to chaos. In a flash, he appeared above the stone, and with a light swipe of his finger, a massive rift dozens of meters long opened in the air. With a wave of his hand, the stone was sucked into the rift. Seeing the terrifying storm disappear, the disciples of Flame-Burning Valley finally breathed a sigh of relief. They knew that if Tang Jin hadn't intervened, this place would have been turned into ruins. After handling the situation, Tang Jin turned his gaze to where Xiao Yan and Wu Chen had landed. Both of them were struggling to get up, glaring at each other with a hint of mutual hostility. Tang Jin descended slowly and said calmly, 10 rounds are up, Wu Chen. You lost." Hearing Tang Jin's words, the disheveled Wu Chen was stunned and then bit his lip in frustration. He couldn't believe he had lost to a junior in such an unexpected defeat. Xiao Yan, though pale, had a burning determination in his eyes. The three-colored fire lotus that once couldn't harm an 8-star Du Zong was now powerful enough. This meant he had gained another means to deal with high-level opponents. Tang Jin turned to Xiao Yan, smiling slightly. "Since Wu Chen has lost as agreed, the Skyfire 3 mysterious changes now belong to you. Congratulations." After obtaining the complete Skyfire 3 mysterious changes from Flame-Burning Valley, Xiao Yan quickly left and flew towards Tanhong City. He was eager to learn the whereabouts of Little Fairy Doctor and the others, especially given the notorious reputation of the Woeful Poison Body in the Central Plains. He didn't want Little Fairy Doctor to encounter any trouble. With these thoughts in mind, Xiao Yan soon arrived at the manor of the L clan. Linen and Luing, seeing Xiao Yan return safely, finally relaxed. After some brief pleasantries, Xiao Yan got straight to the point. Xiao Yan asked, "Have you found any information about what I asked?" Luing replied, "Yes, we have some news. The person you mentioned, Shinan, is likely from the Yi family in Dan City. Her full name is Yinan." Xiao Yan murmured, "The Yi family. It turned out that this family located in Dan City was far stronger than the Lu family among the 5 great families connected to the Pill Tower. However, they had been in decline recently and had even lost their seat on the Pill Tower Elder Council a couple of years ago. If this continued, they would soon be overtaken by other forces." Understanding this, Xiao Yan realized why the Yi family had sent Shinan to Jianan Academy. Their situation had become dire. Seeing that Linen hadn't mentioned anything about Little Fairy Doctor, Xian couldn't help but anxiously ask, "Do you have any news about Little Fairy Doctor?" Luing replied, Is the little fairy doctor you're referring to the one with the legendary Woeful Poison Body? Xiao Yan's heart tightened upon hearing this. According to Luing, the most talked-about topic in Dan City recently was precisely this. Due to the destructive nature of the Woeful Poison Body when it erupts, many forces in Dan City were now hunting down Little Fairy Doctor. Among these forces, Ice River Valley was the most aggressive, as they had a particular interest in individuals with unique physiques. It was said that not long ago, Little Fairy Doctor had clashed with experts from Ice River Valley and was severely injured, forcing her into hiding. Hearing this, Xiao Yan's expression darkened. Ice River Valley. A trace of fierce killing intent flashed in Xiao Yan's eyes. He had always had a special sense of protection towards Little Fairy Doctor, perhaps because of her tragic background and her poisonous physique. Throughout the years, no matter what danger Xiao Yan faced, she had always stayed by his side. In her heart, she had probably long regarded Xiao Yan as a confidant she could trust unconditionally. Xiao Yan was well aware of this, and in order to help her overcome the suffering brought by the Woeful Poison Body, he had been doing everything he could to assist her. If anything happened to Little Fairy Doctor, he would make Ice River Valley pay dearly. Xiao Yan decided to use a spatial wormhole to travel to Dan City and find Yinan. Since she had always been with Little Fairy Doctor, she might know something. Seeing Xiao Yan's resolve, Linen quickly offered, "I'll go with you. I'm familiar with Dan City." Xiao Yan shook his head slightly, declining Linen's offer. "You stay here with Luing. You won't be of much help in this matter." Looking at Xiao Yan's serious expression, Linen, though reluctant, had to nod. He knew that with his Daozong-level strength, he couldn't provide much assistance to Xiao Yan and might even become a burden. Seeing Xiao Yan's determination, Linen refrained from saying more. "All right, remember to be cautious in the Central Plains. If you encounter real trouble, come to Tannin City. Although the Lu family is powerful, we will do our best to protect you." Hearing this, a smile appeared on Xiao Yan's somber face. He then respectfully cupped his fists towards Luing and Linen. "Take care." As soon as Xiao Yan finished speaking, he turned and entered the spatial wormhole. Watching Xiao Yan's gradually receding figure, Linen and Luing both sighed lightly, then smiled wryly. They knew that Xiao Yan's journey would undoubtedly stir up quite a storm in the Central Plains. Linen remarked, "No matter how hard we try to catch up, he's always ahead of us. Encountering such a prodigy really takes a toll on one's confidence." After 5 days of spatial travel, Xiao Yan arrived safely in Dan City. Seeing the numerous figures clad in alchemist robes, he couldn't help but click his tongue in amazement. Just as he was marveling, a shout suddenly rang out not far away. "Latest news from the Central Plains. Ice River Valley is offering a huge reward for the woman with the Woeful Poison Body. Anyone who can provide her whereabouts can claim the bounty from Ice River Valley." Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan was shocked. It seemed a so-called Woeful Poison Woman must be Little Fairy Doctor. He hadn't expected Ice River Valley to go to such lengths to find her. Following the direction of the voice, Xiao Yan saw a man holding a stack of papers, which he then pasted onto a nearby stone pillar. As Xiao Yan approached, he saw that the paper depicted a slightly blurry portrait of a woman who was none other than Little Fairy Doctor. Xiao Yan casually tossed a bag of gold coins to the man and learned the details of what had happened. Half a month ago, Ice River Valley had dispatched many strong fighters, including 2 6-star Duzans, Bing Yuan and Bing Fu, to hunt down Little Fairy Doctor. Although she had killed several Ice River Valley experts and managed to escape, she had been severely injured by the 2 elders. The location of the hunt was at Divine Fall Gorge, north of Dan City. However, the area was now heavily guarded by Ice River Valley, as they suspected the Woeful Poison Woman hadn't gone far. Despite their extensive search, they hadn't found any trace of her. Xiao Yan's gaze turned sharply to the north, and he murmured to himself, "Whether it's Divine Fall Gorge or the E family, they're both in that direction. The E family should be reachable within a day. I need to hurry." From what he'd heard, Little Fairy Doctor's situation might be dire. With these thoughts, Xiao Yan's heart surged with killing intent. Despite Little Fairy Doctor's strength, Even if she unleashed the full power of her woeful poison body, she could at most contend with one 6-star Dao Zong. Facing two such opponents, she would undoubtedly be outmatched. Xiao Yan muttered, "Ice River Valley, if anything happens to her, I will be your sworn enemy." With that, Xiao Yan sped towards Dan City. Along the way, he searched various cities for the materials needed to craft a body for the Dao Zun of Fire. He also acquired 12 types of beast flames necessary for merging with the life-transforming flame, the Destruction Fire Lotus. Being Xiao Yan's most powerful trump card, it required thorough preparation for the upcoming battles. As Xiao Yan fused the last beast flame into the core fire, a large, deep green city gradually appeared in his sight. Xiao Yan murmured to himself, "Have I arrived?"